Hey everybody, so we're back with another episode of Cooking with a Cattlewoman. So the last episode we showed you how we made flank steak here at my house. So what we're going to do this time is show you what we do with leftover flank steak. So we had a couple pieces left. So today for breakfast, what I'm going to do is show you a little bit of a healthier version of kind of like a frittata. We are going to have flank steak. We're going to have some tomato, some egg whites, and then some cheese. So I've already went ahead and cut up our flank steak and our tomato just because we had a couple pieces left. We're going to take a couple eggs, we're going to crack them, and we're going to sift out the egg whites versus the yolks, and then we'll save the yolks for later. So I'm going to go ahead and crack these eggs, and then I'll show you kind of what we're going to do. Okay, so we sifted out our egg whites versus yolks. A lot of people have some like handy dandy little tools to do that. I just use the eggshell. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of mix the egg whites together a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start the skillet. So we're gonna use this back burner and we're gonna put it on about 5 just to heat up. We went ahead and sprayed our pan with some Pam so that everything doesn't stick to it. And then we are gonna start adding our ingredients. Okay, so the first ingredient that we're gonna add to our skillet is going to be the steak, just because we wanna heat it up a little bit before we get the eggs in there and they start frying. So we'll go ahead and put the steak in there. We'll let it get a little warmed up inside our skillet. You can see we've got all of our steak inside there. We've got quite a bit, so this is gonna be pretty big frittata. So we're gonna let that heat up a little bit. And then once this is heated up enough, then we'll add in our tomatoes, we'll add in our egg whites, we'll let that cook for a little bit, and then we're gonna add some cheese on top. All right, so you can hear and see that our steak has started to heat up a little bit. So now what we're gonna do is we are gonna add in the tomato, and then we're gonna add in our egg whites and let all that cook together for a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna add in our tomato. You can really do how much of anything that you want. It depends on how big of a frittata that you want. Mix that around a little bit. Then we're gonna add in our egg whites. And so what you wanna do though, is you wanna make sure that the steak and the tomatoes are all covering that bottom portion, because the egg whites are just gonna cook everything together. So you want it to all kind of be stacked in the middle, because we're gonna add the egg whites on and inside all of that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and add our egg whites to it. And like I said, I mean, we decided to do 3 eggs. So 3 egg whites first, and then we went ahead and took out those egg yolks. So we're gonna let this cook down for a little bit. You could add more egg, you could add less egg, you could add more steak to it, you can do less steak, kind of just whatever you're feeling. We're gonna let that cook for a little bit, and then we're gonna add some cheese on top and top it off. So we'll let this cook for a little bit. Okay, so now that those egg whites have cooked a little bit more, we're gonna go ahead and throw some cheese on there. I've decided to use some mozzarella. But you can really do some shredded mozzarella. You can really do whatever kind of cheese you want. I know a lot of people really like cheddar. Mozzarella may not necessarily be their favorite. So we're gonna add all this on here. And for this specific pan, I actually don't have a lid that matches it perfectly, but that's okay. So what we'll do is we just take another one and we're gonna go ahead and set it on top and let all of that cheese kind of melt into that egg. So it'll be on here for probably about 2 minutes or so. Okay, and just like that, our frittata is done. So we can go ahead and pull it off the heat. And you can see our cheese has melted on the top. I mean, it's pretty warm, so you can see all that steam. Now we've got our steak and our tomato, and we'll throw it on a plate, and it's time to eat. So it's pretty quick, pretty easy. Probably takes, I mean, total of maybe about 10 minutes. By the time you cut everything and cook it and all that. So it's a nice little way to repurpose your leftovers. Hope you enjoyed.